All right, pizza fans, get ready because today we are diving deep into the world of cheese pizza, specifically how to make the absolute best cheese pizza right at home,
Oh, yeah.
like better than delivery even. We're using a podcast episode called The Secret to Perfect Cheese Pizza as our guide.
Sounds promising.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to ditch the delivery apps and, embrace my inner pizza chef.
I hear you. There's something so satisfying about making pizza from scratch.
Totally, and they start with the dough, which seems like the most intimidating part, at least to me.
I used to think that too.
Yeah.
But they break it down so well in this episode. It's actually surprisingly straightforward.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a good all-around flour for pizza dough, especially for beginners. But, if you're looking for a chewier crust, you could experiment with high-protein flours, like bread flour.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it has a higher gluten content,
Hmm.
which gives you that nice chewiness. Okay, noted. Chewy crust is always a win. Now, the recipe mentions activating the yeast, like mixing it with warm water and sugar until it gets all bubbly. Is that step really necessary?
Totally. It's like waking up the yeast. Think of it as a little yeast party.
A yeast party. I love it.
Yeah, the yeast is alive.
Yeah.
And that bubbling action is proof that it's doing its job, converting the sugar into carbon dioxide.
And that's what makes the dough rise, right?
Exactly. The more active the yeast, the lighter and fluffier your crust will be.
So we want a raging yeast party. Got it. All right, then comes the kneading. They say to knead for a full 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
It sounds like a lot, I know.
It does. Can I just skip to the fun part? The toppings?
Well, you could,
Huh.
but you'd be missing out on developing the gluten, which is what gives the dough its structure.
Okay, so kneading is important.
It is. It helps create those long strands of gluten, which give you that crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside crust.
So worth it.
Yeah. It's a bit of a workout,
Yeah.
but it's totally worth it in the end.
Okay, 8 minutes of kneading it is. Then you let the dough rise, which seems pretty straightforward. What's happening during that rising time?
It's like the yeast's spa time. That resting period allows the yeast to ferment and produce even more carbon dioxide, which makes the dough even lighter and airier.
Yeast spa time. I'm loving these analogies. So while our dough is relaxing, we move on to the sauce. They make it sound super simple. Just canned tomatoes, tomato paste, and some seasonings.
You got it. And they stress that you can make an amazing sauce with just those basic ingredients.
That's good to know. I always thought I needed a bunch of fancy ingredients to make a good pizza sauce.
Nope. Simple is best sometimes.
But they do mention adding a teaspoon of sugar to the sauce. Why is that?
It's a trick to balance out the acidity of the tomatoes. Some tomatoes can be quite tart, and the sugar helps to round out the flavor.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's all about that sweet and tangy balance.
Exactly.
I'm guessing the type of tomatoes you use matters too?
Absolutely. If you're using canned tomatoes, San Marzano tomatoes are a great choice. They're known for their sweetness and lower acidity.
Good to know.
But if you're using fresh tomatoes, especially those that are more acidic, that teaspoon of sugar can really make a difference.
All right, so we've got our dough chilling, our sauce simmering. What's next?
Well, before we assemble the pizza, we need to talk about something crucial. The baking surface.
Ooh,
They recommend using a pizza stone.
a pizza stone.
Have you ever used one?
I haven't actually.
Oh, you're in for a treat. It's like a secret weapon for crispy crust.
Really?
Yeah, it's a thick slab of stone or ceramic that you preheat in the oven. That super hot surface helps the crust cook quickly and evenly. It's like having your own mini pizza oven at home.
I need one of those.
You definitely do.
What if I don't have a pizza stone?
Don't worry, you can use a heavy baking sheet turned upside down. Just preheat it in the oven the same way you would a pizza stone.
Okay, that's good to know. So we've got our preheated surface. Now
That's where the real fun starts.
is.
Rolling out the dough.
They say to aim for about a 12-inch circle, but honestly,
Yeah, who's really measuring?
exactly.
I kind of like the rustic look anyway.
Me too. Imperfect is perfect.
Right,
Less pressure.
exactly.
And to make transferring the pizza to the oven a breeze, they recommend using parchment paper.
Oh, that's a good tip. I've definitely had my share of pizza disasters. Trying to get that floppy dough onto the baking sheet.
Oh yeah, parchment paper is a lifesaver.
So we've got our dough rolled out. Time for the sauce.
Spread it out nice and evenly,
Mm-hmm.
leaving a little border for the crust.
They don't give any specific measurements for the sauce, so I guess it's up to personal preference.
It is. I actually like to use the back of a spoon to spread the sauce.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it gives you a nice even layer. And it helps prevent the dough from tearing.
That's a good tip. I usually just use a spatula
Hmm.
and end up making a mess.
It happens.
Okay, so sauce is on. Now for the cheese. Mozzarella is a classic choice, right?
It is. It's got that perfect meltability and that signature cheese pull.
I can practically taste it already.
Yep.
But, you can experiment with other cheeses, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like adding a little provolone for some extra sharpness.
Ah.
Or even a sprinkle of Parmesan for a nutty flavor.
I love that idea. I'm always up for trying new cheese combos. Okay, the pizza is assembled. Time for the main event.
Baking time.
Into the oven it goes. Now's when that pizza stone comes in handy.
It does. That intense heat is what gives you that perfectly crispy crust.
They say to bake it for 12 to 15 minutes. Or until the crust is golden brown and the cheese is bubbly.
Yep. Just keep a close eye on it. Ovens can vary, so those baking times are just guidelines.
Got it. All right, let's say our pizza's done. It's out of the oven. Smells amazing. But wait, there's one more step they emphasize. Letting the pizza rest for a few minutes before slicing.
Oh yeah, that's key.
Why is that? I mean, I'm ready to dig in.
I know it's hard to resist, but trust me, that resting period allows the cheese to settle and the flavors to meld.
So it's all about patience.
It is. Plus, it prevents everything from sliding off when you cut into it.
That makes sense.
And for a final touch, they suggest a sprinkle of grated Parmesan or some fresh basil leaves.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Makes it look all fancy.
What it does.
Okay, so we've made it a perfect cheese pizza from scratch.
Yeah.
What a journey. I'm already thinking about my next pizza night. I'm going to invite some friends over.
Yeah.
Make it a whole thing.
I love that.
Maybe some pizza-themed games.
The game.
Yeah, like pizza trivia or
It's fun.
charades or something, just to add to the fun.
I love it. It's not just about the food. It's about the whole experience.
Yeah.
The company, the memories.
Right. Pizza has this way of bringing people together.
It really does.
As we've been talking about this recipe, I've been thinking about why pizza is so universally loved. Is it the combination of textures, the crispy crust, the gooey cheese?
I mean, that's definitely part of it. Our brains are hardwired to crave those kinds of sensory experiences.
Yeah.
But I think it goes deeper than that.
So-
Yeah, pizza has a rich history, a cultural significance. It's a food that has traveled the world, adapting and evolving along the way.
That's true. It's a food that tells a story. Everyone has their own personal pizza story.
Exactly.
Whether it's memories of Friday night pizza with family or that first bite of a perfect slice in Italy.
I know what you mean.
It's more than just a meal. It's a symbol of connection,
Connection.
comfort, celebration.
I love that.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of cheese pizza, I think we've uncovered so much more than just a recipe.
We have.
We've explored the science, the history, the culture, and the sheer joy that comes with creating and sharing a delicious pizza.
And, it's really not that complicated.
Yeah.
Anyone can make amazing pizza at home.
Exactly. You don't need to be a professional chef
Yeah,
or have any special equipment.
just a little bit of know-how and a love for pizza.
That's all it takes. So to all our listeners out there, get those ovens preheated, embrace your inner pizza chef, and don't forget to have fun.
And share your creations with us. We'd love to see what you come up with.
That's right. Tag us on social media. Use the hashtag #DeepDivePizza.
We can't wait to see your pizza masterpieces.
Until next time, pizza lovers,
Happy baking.
and bon appetit.